It's a tragic story that captured America's heart in 2007. Model Anna Nicole Smith passed away from a drug overdose just 5 months after giving birth to her daughter. The story of Anna Nicole Smith returns to the screen in the new Netflix documentary, Anna Nicole Smith, You Don't Know Me. Well, today we're chatting with director Ursula Macfarlane all about the project and why she felt people needed to hear Anna Nicole's real story. This is Advocate Now. Well, Ursula, thank you so much for being here. You know, the tragic story of Anna Nicole Smith hasn't been revisited all that much since her passing back in 2007. But what was your initial inspiration in creating this film?
Well, I've made quite a few portraits of complex women like Yoko Ono and Brigitte Bardot, and I just felt that Anna Nicole deserved so much more than the sort of cartoonish character that she's been painted over the years. And when I started digging into this, I just realized there was so much more to her story and so much more to her as a person, you know, as a human being. And so that's really what we set out to do, is kind of understand who she really was.
As you alluded to, I mean, it's clear that Anna Nicole was deeply misunderstood throughout her life. In investigating and researching, did you develop a sort of kinship or connection with her story?
That's a really interesting point, because I guess in some ways I did, you know, my life is very different, but I do understand, you know, I came from a small town. I do understand that need to get out and make something of your life and, you know, have a bigger canvas to paint your life. And I think she was hardworking. She had an amazing work ethic. She was a great mom. You know, I think many people can relate to that. She really wanted to, everything was about her kids, really. First of all, Daniel, and then, you know, her baby, Danny Lynn, obviously tragically wasn't there for long. But, you know, I think that desire to sort of carve your own narrative, to tell your own story, is, you know, is really relatable. I think for many people watching will get that.
Anna Nicole Smith has died.
Modeling, movies, her own TV show. The world is infatuated with Anna Nicole Smith.
A death that opened a Pandora's box of questions.
What is the truth about Anna Nicole Smith?
And this film dives into a wide array of tragedy, from Anna Nicole's son passing away to her struggle with drug addiction, and then obviously her own eventual passing. So what's the process like in navigating such sensitive material? Were there certain conversations that your team had to make sure that you were all on the same page in the way that you approach this project?
Yeah, I think our approach was very sensitive. You know, there's a lot of people who've spoken about her in the past, some of whom didn't really know her that well. So what we did is we set out to only talk to people. I mean, we talked to loads of people, but only to include people who really had a genuine friendship or relationship with her. And that was really important to us so that we could get to the truth. And many people who've been interviewed, who've had, you know, relationships with Anna, dealings with Anna over the years, have been really burned by the media. So a lot of people, when we first contacted them, they were quite sort of wary. And it took us quite a long time to, you know, to gain their trust. And that was very important to us, so that the people who were on board, you know, we really felt we had a comfortable relationship, that they were comfortable with us, and that we could get really deep into the story because, you know, they trusted us.
And we saw the media really attacked Anna Nicole, belittling her intelligence and at many times her appearance too. Do you think that that toxic behavior toward women in the public eye has shifted since then?
I think it probably isn't as bad now as it was in the 90s. And you got to remember that she came of age, her career, the pinnacle of her career was at the sort of, you know, the height of the kind of the tabloid 24-hour media cycle, all these new sort of entertainment magazines. So she was really kind of under the spotlight. I would like to think that things are a bit different. And I think in the sort of post-Me Too age, but, you know, as we all know, many things have not changed. I would like to think you couldn't go on a talk show and be asked such crude questions these days. So yeah, I think, you know, she was, unfortunately for her, that was a really difficult time for her to come of age. You know, she was so scrutinized, as you say, and so criticized and so maligned by the media. It was really hard for her to sort of recover from that, I think.
Yeah, one of the vital parts of making this documentary is, finding credible sources, I'm sure. You, of course, had one of her close friends who was also her lover guiding this documentary. How did you find these sources, and how did you know that you could trust them?
Well, Missy, as she's called, we knew of Missy's existence, but we didn't know how to find her because she's very much off the grid. And our wonderful producer spent a long time trying to track her down. We went to meet her. And again, as I said, the sort of gaining of the trust was really, really important. And also corroboration. I mean, obviously, private conversations, you can't always corroborate, but knowing that someone was in their life at that time. And also Missy had written a book, and there was a lot of photographic evidence of her time with Anna. And so we felt very much that we could trust Missy. And we spent a long, long time with her, interviewing her, hanging out with her. And as you can see, she's, this kind of extraordinary character. And other people as well. I think just by spending a lot of time with them, we could be sure that that they were truthful, and they weren't just someone who'd spent an evening with Anna Nicole Smith or interviewed her once on a show. They were, the real deal.
And I'm sure, trying to tell someone's story when they're no longer around to help you tell it is incredibly challenging. I mean, was there any fear or intimidation while making this in that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we'd have so loved her to be alive in order to tell her own story. What we tried to do in the film, and there's some unseen footage that no one has ever seen before, which was a documentary that was being made that never got released, where you see her talking, she's sitting there being interviewed. She's sort of in her prime, and there are other interviews as well. There's audio interviews that haven't been heard before, and we try to sort of sprinkle those, weave those throughout the film, so that even though she's sadly not with us, you still do get a sense of her voice, her hopes, her dreams, her secrets. It's there, not as front and center as it could be if she was alive, but it's still there, and we really wanted to make sure that we have that.
What do you ultimately hope people will take away from watching this film?
I really want them to have more empathy for her. I think she's a woman who was so judged during her lifetime. I think she was, yes, she was flawed and she was complicated because she's a human being like everybody else. But I also think she was a wonderful friend and a mother. And I'd like people to come away with empathy, no judgment, see her for who she was in all her wonderful complexity, and someone, ultimately who's just like us.
It's really such an intricate and involved process to create a film like this. I'm sure you really had to dive deep to paint an accurate picture of Anna Nicole Smith's life. Are there any stories or interesting facts that you can share that maybe didn't make it into the film?
I mean, I think the stories that we have in the film are, there are so many stories that we couldn't tell because people who, we did a lot of deep research in the background of people who were very close to Anna Nicole, but couldn't speak to us out of perhaps promising her that they would, maintain that confidentiality. But they really helped us get a much truer sense of who she was. So there's kind of all sorts of things. I guess there's a picture of her with Missy sitting on Father Christmas on Santa Claus's lap and some Christmas in some shopping mall somewhere. And apparently Anna had said to him, Santa, if I'm really good, can I get anything I want? And Missy was saying, he was like, he had never had such a good day as Santa Claus in his whole life. There are lots of little stories like that, in the end, the film can only be a certain length, and stories that we had to lose. But, I think we got the best stories in the film.
Well, Ursula, we thank you for your work on painting an accurate picture of Anna Nicole Smith and for us to really see the true side of her. Everyone, make sure to watch the documentary, Anna Nicole Smith, You Don't Know Me. It's on Netflix now. Ursula, thank you again so much for talking with us.
Thank you so much. It's great talking to you.
I'm Sonia Baghdadi. Thanks for watching and advocating. For more stories and content like this, visit advocate.com and advocatechannel.com.